and he rules. Now, you guys don't understand. You're part of the biggest plan of all. And the greatest thing is behind the scenes, the Father, who is outside of time, outside of the powers of, guess who? Your great overlord, the Dark One. He bows to the Father, the King of Lights.
And you know, that's a really good place to really talk about this story about the
I like the
guy who was actually
put it
sentenced.
Out. You got to pull that out.
This guy was sentenced.
Go to some water.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'll be right back.
So here is what I read on Infowars.com. Michael Schneider of the American Dream. The war on home Bible studies and house churches is heating up again. Down in Phoenix, Arizona, a man has been sentenced to 60 days in prison and has been fined $12,180 for hosting a Bible study in his home. Read that again. The war on home Bible studies and house churches is heating up again. Down in Phoenix, Arizona, a man has been sentenced to 60 days in prison and has been fined $12,180 for hosting a Bible study in his home. That's Michael Schneider of the American Dream. Since 2005, Michael Salman and his wife have been hosting gatherings of about 20 people where they shared food, fellowship, and discussed the Bible. Unfortunately, that kind of thing is against the law in Phoenix, Arizona, apparently. At one point, nearly a dozen armed police officers raided their home and evidence of their crimes was gathered. Michael Salman was found guilty of 67 code violations, and now he is going to be ripped away from his family and put in prison for 2 months. In addition, the assistant city prosecutor is asking the court to revoke his probation and convert it into a 2.5-year jail sentence while he continues to hold worship gatherings on his property despite court orders. Good for you. Keep holding those worship gatherings, because it is said where there are 2 or more, he is there. Obviously, where there is 1, he is there. Where there is no, he is there, because he is everywhere. But definitely where there are 2 or more. So it's interesting that this has to deal with 3 people. You know, you can't have more than 3 people in a Bible study. And I'm going to challenge myself right now. We're going to break some laws in Arizona. We're going to have a Bible study.
But it's not against the Father's law, because he commands us to do these things.
Exactly.
And as with Nebuchadnezzar, we don't have to listen to them on that. Right. We don't have to hear them. Okay. We do have to work within the codes they do as best we can.
Michael Schneider of the American Dream. This is a great article. I am loving this article. He goes on to say, this kind of case has the potential to have a huge chilling effect on home gatherings of all kinds all over the United States. You may be thinking that you are glad that this man is being put in prison because you aren't a Christian and you don't have any sympathy for Christians. Well, what if you wanted to hold a small gathering in your home to discuss the U.S. Constitution?
Or just have a UFO gathering.
Or what if you wanted to hold a small gathering...
Are you watching for the asteroids?
Or what if you wanted to hold a small gathering in your home to play cards or watch football?
And you had 20 or 30 guests over for a party.
Ooh. The U.S. Constitution guarantees the right of the people peaceably to assemble. And when the constitutional
Arizona.
And when the constitutional rights of one person are under attack, it is an attack on all of us. And I think that is really the main point. This is an attack on everybody, on freedom, on liberty. And of course, the ones who aren't paying attention to the Constitution, who aren't paying attention to God, who aren't paying attention to these things, of course, it means nothing. But obviously, you are paying attention to these things.
Are you paying attention to these things?
Of course.
Well, you know, I care about you as a person. And I wouldn't want you to beat me up or try to take my rights away to walk down the sidewalk because I wear a blue t-shirt or a red one or an orange one or I have a hair going this way. I'm of the order of the Nazarene. And based on my law of the Father, everybody who commits a homosexual act should be put to death. Oh, no, wait. That's intolerance. That's hate speech. But really what y'all are doing is hate speech. You're saying put to death the Christians because they're part of a vengeful God who, they're right, taking vengeance on all them who hate His word and hate his son and
I
his
wouldn't
salvation.
fight fire with fire. I wouldn't kill anybody for anything.
Well, no, he has the right of life and death, though, because the life is from him and of him. He can, quote unquote, kill anybody, and it's not murder.
I would
because
never,
it's
I would
his
never
life.
put my hands
He
on anybody
is
else
sovereign.
unless I felt like I was being threatened.
But the thing we have to
I
understand.
would never do it based on.
Oh, of course not. We won't talk about. We're not talking about killing people. We're talking about the rights of the Almighty to take life. Say in an earthquake, a tornado. People say, "Why did God do this?" Well, there's another name from Elohim, and Job dealt with this. Eob, or if you want to say Job in the Old Testament, a real person who contended with the Creator and said, "Why?" And you need to read that if you want to see what the Father answers to your questions. Hey, it's there. You don't know what he answered? You got to read it. But the point I'm trying to make here is he is sovereign. He created the earth and created everything and everyone in it, and it all belongs to him. And let me put the paradigm that I kind of put to Greg one time. I said, I create a glass. I go out and get sand. I choose the sand. I didn't create the sand. The Father created everything out of nothing, ex nihilo. But me, I have to have something to work with. I can't do it like that. But I go out and get sand. And then I heat it up, purify it very specifically, very well. And I build a glass house and a glass set and a glass foundation. And I put it on there. And I look at it and you're impressed. It's the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. It is almost diamond quality. With all the myriad rainbows of colors and 7 or 12 layers of foundations of pearl, diamond, and I put it all together, and I say, wow. And for a week, I have you look at it, and you're coming in and go, man, I wish I could have one of those. And I go, yeah, it's pretty nice, yeah. And then one day, I found a flaw in it. You're going, what? I found a crack in 3 of the foundations of thing, and I have a hammer in my hand. And I'm going to destroy it. What would your reaction to be something beautiful that you found to be perfect, but I found a flaw that you couldn't see? What would you say to me? But that's beautiful. It's just what it should. It's to you. It's you shouldn't do that. And if you started to fight me, is it my right to destroy what I have built?
I don't believe so. No.
Of course it is.
I don't
Now wait a
believe
minute.
so.
Yeah, I am.
No,
Have the total power to break it down. But wait, and then I say, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to melt it, and I'm going to remake it again in the same fashion, but better. And then I'm going to give it to you.
No, I think this body, this life is temporary, and I think it was always meant to be temporary.
That's the truth.
I think this is just
there you go.
a test to
You're
get
right.
us to the next level.
And the thing about it is the Father
it's a test of the heart, test of the soul.
The thing is, the Father has the right to do with us what He wants.
You're right, and so I don't
He
even
has the
question
right.
those things.
I
don't even go there to say
because
well,
the
why do these earthquakes happen? You know, why does all this happen?
It's He does everything perfectly. And
well,
see,
we have a lot
we don't see it from His perspective of the need for that.
We never
But
can.
He does, and we can't. But however, we must respect His right in it and give Him the honor and glory and be thankful for the good, look for the good in the midst of those things and be thankful.
Of course,
that's important.
There's
we
a
must
reason
be
why
thankful.
these things happen. And
right.
Death is a good thing. Death is a good thing. The people that died there, they don't have to live in this crappy world now. Now they get to go to
and
where
what
they
he means by that is, it says in the Word that better is the day of one's death than of your birth. What this means is that your life of toil here
it's over.
is done.
No more
and
pain.
no more pain, sin, or
anything.
anything.
Crap.
And if you're going to, unfortunately, if you're one of those that is destined and set for hell, which there is a one of you or many
Who
of
knows?
you,
I
don't know.
I don't even want to go there
I don't
because
know.
I don't know anything.
And I am not proclaiming that any of
I'm worried that I don't go to hell. Everything that
that's
I do.
what I'm doing.
That's why I'm trying to give you this story.
I'm
right
here to tell you that I am not any better and maybe a lot worse than y'all are.
We're also not fearful.
I'm not fearful to proclaim this truth.
And we're not going. You know, we don't follow God. We don't follow the Father because we're fearful of going to hell. Anybody that thinks that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with that.
And
everything, from my point of view, is out of free
'cause if
will,
you-
but
yes.
it must also be done out of love.
And in the beginning,
And you cannot, people cannot love if they're fearful.
Right.
If
It's-
I'm
you got a
fearful
point.
of God
Yes.
because I don't want to go to hell, that's not real love. And I
Yes.
think there are many Christians
That's
that
only the
go
beginning
through
of
that.
wisdom.
It is the beginning.
that's only
It is
the
the beginning.
We got to remember.
And my whole life,
Well,
hopefully,
shalom.
is the beginning of wisdom, because that's all that I'm really searching for.
But the thing is, we need to challenge them. If you want to find out about this in deeper detail,
won't-
wonder
you-
what
you
we're
know
talking
what,
about,
you
read
won't-
the Bible.
Yeah.
Check it
sure.
out yourself. You may not agree with it, and you won't. You'll find something you don't like. I guarantee you. I did. I
You
did.
never know.
He did. We did, because that's the nature of it.
There's many things.
Because he speaks against us in our lives. But he has good in view. So think about it from that perspective and look at that. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I won't argue with anybody, and I won't push my way. I'll present it. If you don't want it, you can walk away and believe what you will, and I'll say, the Father bless you and keep you and bring you in peace.
And Michael Schneider, writing for the American Dream, goes on to talk about in this country today, we actually do not own our own homes and properties.
We don't.
Instead, we are only allowed to use them in very, very narrowly defined ways. And if we rebel against those rules, the control freaks that run things will smack us
Let's
hard.
just say the government purveyors of order.
Yeah. And this is just it's a great article. It's very sad that this is happening.
We don't want to. Well, I want to make a correction here.
Today.
I want to make a big correction.
I'm really.
We don't want to call some of those government people's crackpots, because there's a lot of good workers.
No, you have to judge
the
people
laws
by
that the
themselves.
legislators put together. Maybe the enforcers of these things are only doing the job, and
That's what they said in Nazi Germany. That
well,
doesn't
unfortunately,
fly. That's
well,
not
no,
gonna
I
fly.
agree with that.
No.
I agree with you.
You have
However,
to. You're responsible
they have
for
to
your own
see.
actions.
This is exactly, and that's what we're trying to do. And you don't win friends and influence people by calling them crackpots.
I'm not trying to win
And
anybody.
no,
or trying
exactly.
to do anything.
Tell them the truth.
We're gonna tell
but
them.
let's not label them. That's all I ask.
Sure.
See, that's all I'm asking.
I'm not
See,
labeling
we disagree here too.
I'm not labeling any group, but
We're not calling them crackpots. What he's defining here, and what I'll refine just a little bit, is saying that these laws are not orchestrated for true order or discipline. They're made for an aim of controlling them to do what the government wants and to move them a direction away from individuality, independence, and freedom in business and in life, which are normal parts of life in some governments in some places, and we have had in the past, which they have turned from.
And that
this
is,
I agree.
that, from my point of view, is a definition of a crackpot.
And
That's
the
what
laws.
you're doing, and that's what you are. Because
See, he sneaks back the back door and does it again.
because these people
Give him a break. We all have opinions.
Any people who are doing that, I mean, come on. So this goes back to the fact that we cannot hold Bible studies in our own homes.
Now that's ridiculous.
Whatever,
But
but you can still have parties in your own homes, and you can hang out and do whatever else that you want to do.
But if you read the Bible and the neighbors pick up on it and say, "Hey, you have
That's
too
how
many
it always
cars out there,"
starts. It always starts with the
Well, invite
lessoning
your
of
neighbors
the Bible.
over.
You know,
You gotta get to know your
first
neighbors.
we'll take the 10 Commandments
Yep.
out of the courtrooms, so nobody will even be thinking why they were there and the point that they were there.
all law is based on the Bible.
These are simple laws. These
Oops.
are simple things.
No, it's Hammurabi. No, it's not the. Well, where did all the law come?
Even
Thou
if
shalt
you
not
take
kill.
them out, yeah,
Murder
I mean,
is the word.
It's
kill.
it's all there. I mean, you know, it's very simple. You don't even need that because you probably know.
How many millions of laws do we have supporting the 10 Commandments?
You know, we only
lot.
need the one law of love, because if you love, most of those other things
Will come
even
into
if
play.
they are going to come, and you'll use the Constitution in a loving way, not in a hateful way.
And
When
not
you
only
use it
that-
in a hateful way, this is the world that we get, this is the country that we get, and this is the nation that we live in. This is our change. This
And
is what we're
the
gonna
thing
change.
is, we send people to represent us in Congress. They don't. We notice that. That's kind of obvious. The fact is, it's a republic. We're not a democracy. They talk democracy and everything. This is not a democratic state. We are not a democracy. We are a republic. And it's based on the Constitution. and, well, was based on the Constitution. Now, Congress and those in it do not follow it. We understand this.
You're right. But let me go back to why this guy Michael Salman, why he was taken to jail, why he's going to spend 60 days in jail in the near future, and he's going to be fined over $12,000.
He must have been a terrible menace, right?
Back to Michael Schneider, and I love this. I love the way that this guy writes. I'm going to have to start reading his stuff more. Thankfully, it was posted on Infowars.com, so I can get a lot of different people's
Thanks,
media.
Alex Jones.
And that's what Alex Jones does, is he will post good media from different companies. From
We
different
appreciate
places,
you and Jesse Ventura.
different news sources.
The
But
truthers.
he writes, Michael Schneider writes that, so how did Michael Salman's problems start? You can probably guess. His neighbors complained about noise and traffic congestion. So again, it's your neighbors.
But now,
It's the people that
in
you live
defense of the neighbor point of view, we should always work with our neighbors to make sure we are not offensive to them. And there might have been some error on the part of him that may have, in the flesh, worked this out.
Might be getting there.
Oops, I was getting ahead of my boss. Go right ahead.
I might be getting there.
I'll just drink my Coca-Cola.
Michael
Coca-Cola.
Michael Salman did have a big cross and a big sign outside his home. And in this situation, that was rather foolish. Perhaps if he had kept a lower profile, things would have been
Respectful of his neighbors.
like a drug dealer. So now, if you're going to have a Bible study in your house, look at the drug dealers and how they act, and just act like them. Pretty much. But it still does not excuse what authorities did in Phoenix are doing to him.
I agree.
People should be able to have small gatherings of friends and family in their own home.
Yes.
If we can't do that, what do we have left? And these days, just about everything.
Why live in the United
illegal.
States then? Why not just renounce your citizenship and go somewhere where it can be more amenable? And if you have the profits and means to do it, what's to prevent the people from doing that? They don't know. A lot of Americans, and might be to the advantage of Congress if the true Americans just said, hey, bye, and leave them with, well, what they might get might not be what they want.
That's right. And he also goes on to quote this other thing where it says a Christian couple from Orange County, California, were fined earlier this month for holding Bible studies and for what city officials called a regular gathering of more than 3 people in their homes. They have now been told they face a $500 fine if they continue to hold their home Bible study gatherings.
That
This is
a law
is a
against the Constitution.
This is a doorway. This is a doorway that is
Unconstitutional,
not going
sheriff,
to end with
and
the
abuse
Bible.
of police power.
This is going to end with them taking over your homes. This is going
They
to
already
end,
have done that.
Well, this is going to end with them saying we can come into your home and we can live here, we can quarter here, and that is again totally unconstitutional.
Well, the Army and the military can do that. They can confiscate through
Not in my house.
not eminent domain, but they can force the issue and say we're doing it for operations. We have to be here,
They're not
and it
coming
will
to
be
my house.
always under the guise of they won't
If
have
you
to
come to
ask.
my house,
They will remove you
we'll
from
see.
it.
They will try.
They will. Yeah, they will. They would more than try. They would do it because if they had the force and the ability, they will do it, and that's what happened in the Revolutionary War. Here, there's people that were supporting the revolution. Here come the British. You're British subjects. We're going to need a few cows. We need to cook some steak. Hey, we need that milk. And your daughter's good with sewing. We're going to need her to do sewing. And thank you. Bye. And if the government, under the powers that have been in place for a long time, meaning the powers of putting us under a major emergency state, so to speak, they're in place right now. All they have to do is have the right incident, which they're setting up, of course, and will eventually happen. If they don't set it up, it's going to happen apart from anybody knowing here or being part of, possibly, but very nicely set up to where maybe an event in, say, Washington, D.C., and or on the area around Annapolis or any area there. And all of a sudden we have martial law. Then they can do what they want.
They think they
For protection of the
think
people
they
on the
can.
borders.
People are not going to stand for that. People are going to stand up.
Well, there will
and
be
fight
a
that.
split. There will be states that will separate from the Union. There will be a major breakdown of the government. The United States federal government will dissipate, and they think that Russia and Chinese forces will be able to maintain the order, and there will be some problems. It'll be like Afghanistan, the Balkans, and Somalia all rolled into one.
That's the secret about the New World Order is there will be no order. Because if there's order, you don't need a New World Order. That would bring peace. They're not going to bring peace.
They're made about subjection and putting it where people can profit suitably with the right kind of people. It's like me
There will
moving.
be no peace.
Well, see, it's like me
There will be
moving
no
into the
peace.
neighborhood and saying, I have $1 billion, and I'm in the billionaires club. And I move into this neighborhood, and I notice there's people I don't like. People that make less money than me and don't act the way I act or behave the way I behave, or particularly relate to me the way I would like to be related to and interact. So all of a sudden I go to the club and I talk with my fellow billionaires and say, we have too many millionaires in this economy out here, and we need to price them out. We don't have to actually go anything against them. We just raise up the prices and make everything where they can't afford it, and then they move out, and we invite our fellow billionaires in, and then we've owned the club then. And it's kind of the same mentality, but a much different level and deeper level in that they do it subtly, slowly, and with many facets. So it's not that they come in and like maybe, see, they like dividing us. So the blacks say it's the whites say it's the blacks, the Hispanics say it's the blacks and the whites, and the Indians say no, it's the Hispanics, blacks, and the whites. They all kicked us. And they thrive on dividing us as a people. But if we realize we all have a common cause to unite and stand for the truth, because I don't stand against the people in Mexico coming to work. I don't stand against that. I don't. And one of the things is, if they come to work, they're contributing. Welcome to America.